Welcome. I am Charlotte Jessup and this is the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. So today we are talking about how you can achieve financial freedom, and this is such an important topic to me, and one thing that I'm really passionate about is money confidence, and this whole idea is built around letting go of the anxiety and the tension that so many of us feel around money. And this can manifest itself in so many ways in our life. So this could be feeling nervous to look at your bank accounts. It could be stressing out when you go to use your credit card because you're not sure if you've got any balance left on there. It could be just not knowing if you're going to be able to afford Christmas this year. It could be not knowing if your job is secure and what you would do if you were to lose your job. And those feelings of anxiety are normal, but we don't need to hold on to them. There are things we can do. And so this is kind of a core video for me. This is a real part of my mission to set people free from those feelings that we have. And you can achieve financial freedom now. You can make it happen for you now. You don't have to have some big pot of money show up in your life. What you need is the right mindset and some good skills and knowledge. So I'm going to talk about that with you now. The first thing that I want you to do, and this is my first point, and I'm going to make it super practical for you. So if you really want to achieve financial freedom, I want you to go and check your accounts. I want you to check your bank account. I want you to check your savings account. I want you to check your credit cards, and I want you to write down those numbers. So many of us, and I have been guilty of this myself, live in some sort of fear, and we put off looking at these things because we are scared of what the numbers might be and what we might have to face if we actually expose ourselves to those figures. Now, we don't need to feel that fear. We don't need to feel afraid of those numbers because they're just that. They're just numbers. And we can engage with them, we can acknowledge them, but we don't have to necessarily let them create an emotion. They are a figure, and they're a figure that gives us information, and we can then make a plan based on it. So what I want you to do, and if you need to, pause this video, step away or look at your phone, wherever you need to go to access your bank accounts and look at those numbers. You might need to go to several places. It might all be in one place, but go and make sure you know exactly what is in those accounts or what you owe on those accounts so that you have that clear picture in your mind. And it's really that first step. Once you've done that, I want you to make sure that you find somewhere to write them down, because this is not a step that is do it once and then walk away. If we want that feeling of freedom, we have to start with actions that we mean to continue. So we need to be looking at and engaging with these numbers on a regular basis. So set a time in your calendar, so you can put this in your paper calendar, you can put it on a digital calendar, you can set a reminder on your phone to do this about once a week, and as an absolute minimum once a month, so that you are looking at those numbers. The more frequently you do it, the more, I guess, resilient you are to the outcome, and it bothers you less. Imagine if you only ever looked at your bank account once a year or once every 5 years. Imagine how uncertain you would feel in the kind of the space in between. So what we want to do is we want to make shorter and shorter periods of time between when you check, but also so that we're not doing it too constantly. So about once a week is good, and some people do it every day, but once a week seems to be the optimum time, and like I say, at least once a month. And what you can do is create some sort of spreadsheet, create some sort of record for this, so you can kind of track what's going on. Sometimes, particularly when we're trying to deal with debt or we're trying to build up some savings, it's hard to see the progress we make because we don't actually keep records for it. So if you need that, cue of someone telling you to go out there and record this information, then here it is. So create a spreadsheet, grab a piece of paper and start writing down these figures so that you can look back and reflect on your progress in the future. So the first step to your financial freedom is to check your bank accounts, and I mean it, go and check them now. Number 2 is to make the decision to be financially free and to actually consciously put that decision out into the world. Say it to yourself, say it to the universe, say it to anybody who's willing to listen, that you are going to be financially free. You will not let yourself be controlled or dictated by money and what money has previously made you feel. We are letting go of that. Making that decision and actually putting it out into the world is such a huge step. And some people think that it doesn't have real value and that it doesn't actually do anything. But when we make a decision, that is that real kind of step, a real energetic change that moves us on the path to seeing the results of that. If you decide that you're going to wear a hat, that's the first step in actually wearing the hat. You need to make that decision first. So I want you to make that decision now that you are going to enjoy that feeling of being financially free. And if you need to, take some time to sit and think about what that would feel like. What is that going to look like for you? How will your life change if you feel financially free? Are you going to free up this whole load of space in your brain that's previously been preoccupied with these anxious feelings around money? Or maybe you are going to be able to spend money in a way that you've never been able to spend money before because you've been so hung up with guilt and anxiety around doing so. Or maybe you are going to be able to do a trip that you want to do or buy a house. How are you going to feel when you get to a point where money is no longer creating anxiety for you or stress? The next one is understanding where that fear comes from. So this is point number 3. We need to understand the root of that fear. So for many of us, we have things that happen in our lives, sometimes in our early lives, in our childhood, from watching parents and watching other friends or people that were close to us go through some challenging situations with their money. Now, it's okay to take those things on and be receptive to them, but what we don't want to do is keep them with us on our own personal money journeys. And if you find that there are certain feelings and emotions that you have around money at different points in your life, then maybe you have some undealt with emotion or experience, and now is the time to tackle that. Now, some examples of what this may look like. You might have grown up in a household where money wasn't talked about at all. So perhaps money never became part of a conversation. You might have heard, mutterings from a parent about bills, but it wasn't talked about openly. And perhaps you saw your parents, hiding things from you. And maybe you've taken on some of those experiences and that level of secrecy around money, so you don't talk about it either. And actually, that might not be good for you. Perhaps you're the sort of person that needs to talk about money, and that's a part of your journey. You could have built up feelings of money being secret or money being something that we hide from or, a taboo subject, and maybe that is part of your fear. Alternatively, you could have lived with someone that was big on spending. Maybe they spent money all the time, and they never actually had anything to show for it. So perhaps you feel this fear around spending money because you're so afraid of not having any in the savings pot. And that fear can come from that emotion of seeing people live their lives but never having that security themselves, and you take that on board. So these are just some examples. There could be lots of examples of these. Now, one way that you can try and uncover your own experiences and subconscious feelings around money, because you might not even be aware of them. One way that you can do this is to make a list of all the examples you can think of where money has come into play in your life. Now, the chances are that this is going to be a very long list. I've been through this exercise myself, and it ran over a couple of pages of A4, and I kept on adding to it as I went through the week. So these can be everything from finding money in the street when you were a child to missing out on a promotion as an adult. It could be opening your first credit card bill. Any instance of money in some way coming into your life, I want you to write that down in a list. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take some time, and this can be quite a long process because it's not something we want to rush through. This is important. This is part of that journey to feeling financially free. So what I want you to do is go through each of those experiences. Think about the emotions you felt. How do they make you feel now? And try and release that. Forgive yourself in that moment. Forgive anybody else that might be involved in that. And make a conscious decision to move on from that. That is not how you feel now. Step away from that and into a situation where money doesn't stir up those emotions, and do that for each one. So let the emotions come up, and then make that conscious decision to let go of those emotions. It might sound trivial, it might sound like it's not going to work, but it really does. Some of the big ones you might have to revisit a couple of times and just go through that process, but you will find that your money situation, your money experience, and how you view money in the future will become more positive, and you will be open to more things around money. And number 4 is finding the gaps. A lot of our anxiety around money comes from not knowing. Now, I tackled this in the first point when I made you go check your bank accounts, but that was just the start. When we are looking at money, there's so much more to money than just knowing how much you have. There is knowing how it works, where to put it, how to make it grow, how to pay off any debts you have. So what I want you to reflect on now is, what things don't you know? So what things don't you know about money that would help you to complete the picture? Imagine it's a jigsaw puzzle, and what you are trying to do is complete this complete picture, and that picture is your financial freedom. That's what it looks like. And what you have to do is you have to put these pieces all in place. When you start finding those gaps and working towards filling them in, what you do is you build your confidence and you become more empowered to make the right decisions for you and your money. Now, you might find that some of these gaps bubble up in you in the previous task when you start writing down this list, or you might know instinctively what they are. You might be thinking, I've got a pension, but I don't know anything about my pension. You might be thinking, oh, I'd love to learn how to invest, but I have no idea where to start. Or maybe you have some money sitting in your bank account, but you're not quite sure where the best place is to put it in terms of having a good savings account. Or it could be that you just don't know what the interest rate is on your debts. These are all gaps that we can find out and we can learn about, and it all becomes a part of that jigsaw to complete this financial freedom picture. Then the last one is to make some plans. When you find those gaps, we need to make some plans to fill them. It's one thing to find them and identify that you have a shortfall in that area, but the next step to truly completing that vision around financial freedom is to do the work, to take action. Now, I believe that there are 5 pillars to achieving money confidence and consequently money freedom, and these are One, your money mindset. Having the right money mindset can make all the difference to how you feel about money and to how you react to it in the future. So if you think that you need to do some work around this, and because of some of the issues that came up in step 3, then spend some time learning about your money mindset. The next one is budgeting. Having a good budget really takes a lot of the pressure off around your money. First thing is you need to know how much you've got and you're making a plan for where it's going to go. It's a huge knowledge building exercise and it does so much for your confidence. The third pillar is conscious spending. I see so many people that struggle with spending and feeling out of control with their spending. If you don't know how to spend your money so that it brings you joy and doesn't bring you a sense of regret, then that's something that you should make a plan to work on and something that I can help you with as well. Number 4 is making money. So perhaps you have a job and that's great, but if you are worried about your job or if you don't think you earn enough from your job, then we can start looking at other ways that perhaps you could bring in another stream of income, or look at maybe getting a promotion or a pay rise, or finding other ways of bringing money into your life so that you feel more confident that you know where money is going to come from. And number 5 is investing, or around building wealth. And again, this can be one that people really struggle with when it comes to knowledge and understanding it. There are lots of ways you can build wealth. And if you don't know how, then now is the time to make a plan. So I recommend with those 5 pillars and making plans, you kind of work on them in that order. So money mindset first, because it underpins the others. Then budgeting, because it can be achieved quickly and makes such a big step forward. Then we look at conscious spending, because that kind of follows on nicely from budgeting. Then you look at making money, because it gives you more freedom and space within your budget to do great things. And then 5 is taking that money and building something for you and your family. And that financial freedom, like I say, these are baby steps, but you can make it happen now. I want you to be free from money, anxiety, and the stress and the worry that so many of us feel. It's achievable for you now, and I hope that this video has given you kind of the first hints of what life could be like if you felt like that. And I hope that you follow the steps that I've laid out in this section, and that maybe we will work together again in the future to make this a reality for you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment to let me know that you've enjoyed this video.